Welcome to Film Study, an all-American podcast. Here are Mena and I's predictions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And yeah, let's get into it.
Murder Was the Case is the name of the episode. It's 419, the episode before the season finale. And it says, fighting for friendships with Spencer and Asher's tension at an all-time high. JJ plans a party for the gang. Olivia goes against her instinct about an article causing friction between her and Spencer. Jordan is trying to hide his feelings by making some uncharacteristic choices that doesn't go unnoticed by his friends. Coop is thriving in her new job, leaving Patience to see a new side of Coop. Meanwhile, Grace joins Billy on his all-nighter of protecting the school from the Halloween vandal and shares some news of her own with him. Grace and Billy.
I don't know what's going on there. Like, it's super confusing to me. I don't know.
Oh, I think literally the news is just going to be that
are in a really good place right now, and so I can't see them wanting to pivot back to Billy and Grace.
When I tell you, I think that's the last thing on the writers' minds.
I almost feel like they're kind of like teasing people a little bit, like they want.
Oh, you think?
They're going in that direction, but they're not. It just doesn't make sense to where we're at in the show right now.
I feel like it's almost like a inside joke. Yeah, it's almost like an inside joke. But yeah, I genuinely think that it's just gonna be her telling him about Carter, inviting her to move with him or whatever. And it's gonna give very much, not as like antagonistic as it was in season 1 with the whole homecoming lock-in, but it's gonna give like the homecoming lock-in of season 1 for them, but just like healthier and not as weird. Hopefully. Hopefully. That's Billy and Laura. What do you think about Coop and Paige? Did I skip that? Coop is thriving in her new job, leaving Patience to see a new side of Coop. Why do I feel like I skipped that sentence? But what do you think about Coop and Patience?
Yeah, I think I skipped that over. So they're obviously like, it's so obvious that they're slowly like building up that Coop and Patience exes to lovers storyline. So maybe they share a moment in this episode.
Yeah, which is crazy. Maybe that's why I subliminally skipped over it, because like it's too soon.
It's way too soon. Like, I feel like they really needed this breakup, and I feel like they really needed this time apart to focus on themselves and focus on these individual arcs that they have, and then slowly repair their dynamic, make them friends again, and then slowly build up to the exes to lovers plot. I just feel like it's happening a little bit too fast. Like, I feel like almost immediately after they broke up, you knew that they were going to get back together.
Right. No, I completely agree.
And it's just like, what was the point of breaking them up then if you're going to rush their reunion?
Legitimately. And so, no. You basically said everything that I have been thinking, and I really hope this is not like they just need more time apart, and I'm just
it's just so frustrating because I used to love early Patience in season 1. One of my favorite relationships on the show, and I feel like the writers ran that dynamic into the ground.
They
had an opportunity to provide a fresh take on this relationship, break them up, have them focus on themselves, and slowly, emphasis on slowly now, bring them back together. And I feel like they're dropping the ball once again. It's frustrating to watch.
It is, and I hope that this is like a fake out with a synopsis and that it's not actually like what it seems and that they're just gonna be friends. But it's been very interesting how they've handled their breakup, especially because their breakup was dragged out for so long. Like, if they had broken them up when they were supposed to break up, I don't think I would feel this way if what was happening now was happening, but like their breakup was so dragged out that now I'm like, you need to give it time to breathe, because it's literally been an entire good since, what was it, from episode 1 to essentially like episode 12 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was after episode 12. It was like 13. Anyway, so yeah, those are my thoughts on that. Let me not go on a rant. Um, Jordan making some uncharacteristic choices. What do you think about that?
I have no idea what uncharacteristic choices that he's going to be making. My first thought is maybe he starts acting out a little bit.
But that's not
Um, but
uncharacteristic.
that's
I
not
agree.
uncharacteristic because that's what he always does
Right.
when he's in his feelings and when he's struggling. So I don't know what to expect. This is going to be really interesting. I don't know what to expect from him next week.
Yeah, it's
I also think that the line that they gave about his arc in the synopsis is both about him hiding his feelings about the breakup and him hiding his feelings for Layla. I think it's
completely
both.
agree.
So this should be interesting. I don't know. I wonder if he's going to be like isolating himself from the group. It's something major that makes people notice like, oh, like something's wrong with you, like what's going on.
I
I
can
just don't know
definitely
what it
see
is.
it. I can definitely see it being isolation because I think that would be the only thing that's like uncharacteristic that would like raise alarms because it's not like he can like be nice to the extreme and that would raise alarms. Like it has to be
Right.
something that's more negative. And so I think like isolation is like sort of um the only thing that makes sense to me. But we'll see. But yeah, I agree that I think it's also like I think we're gonna get a nod to him still dealing with his breakup with Simone. But I
Mm-hmm.
definitely think, I mean, as he said, in at the end of the last episode, I want Layla, and he wants Layla. So like, well, I definitely think that they're going to have a moment in the next episode. Um,
I also think that if that is the case and he is like kind of isolating himself from the group, one of the people who is going to notice it the most, because that is exactly how she acts when she closes herself off,
is
is
Layla? Yeah,
Layla.
right,
Like that's the perfect segue into that.
right, absolutely. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see for sure.
Do you have
Uh,
like any like Jordala predictions for that episode? I feel like there is going to be something big. I don't know what it is. I almost want
I
to
don't want to
say
say it because like usually I'm like fine with saying my predictions, but like this one I don't want to say. I'm going to agree with you though. I do think there's going to be something
dare
big.
I say there might be an almost kiss. And I know Jordala's have been saying this every single episode. There's gonna be an almost kiss, there's gonna be an almost kiss. But there truly was a shift in last night's episode to where I think there could be an almost kiss next week. It just makes sense. Especially with the finale right after that. Like I feel like there has to be something that raises the stakes. I just
And I
think there's gonna
think
be something.
and I think it's like that truly the thing that was holding them back besides what we were talking about earlier, their awareness, is that he was dating Simone. So he's no longer dating Simone, and so those like boundaries for them don't exist anymore. And so this is going to be very interesting because again, where they're at now, like we said, something has been shifting over the course of like for a while, basically. And so now that he's like unattached, it will be very interesting to see how they operate in that environment of him being unattached.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think that something big is gonna happen, but that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I don't want to
Um,
make any like specific predictions just in case I'm wrong, but I do think there's going to be something big that boils over into the finale for sure.
Right. Yeah, and this is for you, Monda. No, I'm not gonna make a bet. But if I had made a bet last week, you would have lost the bet because Simone was a third wheel. Essentially. Anyway, I had to add that for Monda. Um, Olivia goes against her instinct about an article that causes friction between her and Spencer. What do you think that is?
I wonder if it's the NIL thing again. I
I
don't
think yeah, I
know.
think it's the NIL article for
Uh,
sure.
I have to tell you, I have to rant about this for a second. I can't take this angst that they're putting in between Spencer and Olivia seriously because of how healthy they display their dynamic. It just doesn't feel realistic for them as a couple. They reaffirm each other of how they're not going anywhere and about how deeply they love each other every single episode. So I can't take these squabbles seriously. Like I can't
These squabbles.
because of how
Not the
healthy they
squabbles.
are.
Not squabbles of the. I think that, and both I'm mentioning Manda a lot in this series, but I think Manda and I both have mentioned this, is that especially for the finale, I assume that there's something big coming, and it seems like they've been doing.
I'm so sorry. I feel like what something is big is happening next week that puts them in a bad place. Like there's gonna be some type of shift because I feel like every time they're given some type of conflict in an episode, they'll make up at the end. I feel like
Right.
this time it's not going to happen. Like this is the first time where
Right.
they do not make up at the end of an episode.
Legitimately. No, I agree, and I think that that's has been our point, is that we need to see it last a little bit longer because they have been making them be okay after these small little squabbles, as you put it. So this one is definitely going to last longer, but it is going to be interesting because it's just two episodes. So again, they're just I want to see how they might bring back one or two of the disagreements that they've had before that they.
I definitely think past agreements are gonna pop up in this confrontation that they're having next week for sure. It's frustrating because it's just frustrating to watch as a viewer because you can tell how much they love each other and how much they support each other even when they necessarily don't agree with each other. And so to build that part of their dynamic, especially this season, and then to go into next week and maybe give them a confrontation that's so bad that they don't make up at the end and it bleeds into the finale and maybe potentially a breakup just doesn't feel realistic to me. And it doesn't feel realistic to them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm open to it. I mean, Spencer and Olivia, they do inks. They do it well. We saw in season 3. So I'm open to it. I'm excited. Hopefully it's handled well.
Yeah. No, I agree. Someone else, another on that point, another pair of people who have had tension, Asher and Spencer, and this Halloween party. What do you think's happening with that?
So I'm assuming this is boiling over from what was the episode 417, with Asher's scouting report, and him, putting personal information about Spencer in the scouting report. And I remember Spencer saying that they can coexist in the house, but they can't be friends. And so maybe I'm assuming that this awkward tension is now like spilling into next week's episode and they don't really know how to coexist around each other with all this tension. And that's why JJ plans the Halloween party, because they're so distant from each other. And just the group in general maybe is just so distant, he wants to find a way to bring them back together. I wonder what will happen. I wonder if they will.
I think a fight is going to break out. I don't know who is going to be a part of this fight, but I think a fight is going to break out.
Like an actual like fist fight, or like
I think an actual fist fight.
I said this the other day. It's a tradition for Jordan to punch someone every single season. It hasn't happened yet. So,
but that's what I honestly did think it was going to be Jordan, but again, I don't think that's uncharacteristic for him. So it's going to be interesting to see the period. Maybe the synopsis is just lying and it's not uncharacteristic. It's actually very characteristic of Jordan to punch someone.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming, for Asher and Spencer, it's just going to be that tension that has came up because of the scouting report. I feel like they're going to make up at the end, by the end of the episode. I feel like what they're going to leave more open-ended is Bolivia's conflict, but I do feel like they might have Spencer and Asher reunite by the end of the episode. That's what I think.
I don't know, only because I don't know if the homecoming game is gonna be the finale.
Oh,
So
I forgot. Isn't it supposed to be between
I think
Coastal and
so.
GAU?
Yeah. So I think I
So
think there's
maybe
gonna
they
be
would keep the tensions high because the
right,
game is coming up. Interesting.
right.
I feel
So
like
yeah,
this is so long overdue. Asher and Spencer kind of duking it out. Since season one, I feel like they haven't really gotten down to their differences and like
right,
things that have happened between them. I feel like it's really been brushed off. So I wonder if these things are gonna come up next week, like the Olivia thing, the Layla thing, stealing his spot on the football team thing, like things that have been long buried that might pop up in the heat of the moment next week.
right. There's a callback. There's a callback to the Crips or Bloods line. I will watch
Ah,
because so
yeah,
many
I
people
definitely
want
think it's
that.
gonna get nasty.
Yeah, I think people really want Spencer to punch Asher for that. But I just think I think that Spencer and Asher have needed to, again, like you said, uh, give into this tension that's been there between them for a very long time, and I think it's sort of unrealistic that they haven't yet. So I'm excited to see where it heads. And yeah, those are our predictions. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. It was a blast. Like I
It
said, I
was.
love your podcast, love listening to it. So
Thank
it's super cool
you.
to, like be on the other side and like be a guest. It was really
Yeah,
fun.
it was awesome to have you. Like I said,
I have to
I
shout
stalk
out
your account.
my Jordala friends. I'm so sorry. I feel like you expected me to talk about them way more than I did. Sorry. We had to really rush through the episode. But yeah, love you guys.
That's
Shout out to them.
amazing.
They really wanted me to come on this podcast specifically. Like they were like, please, like DM Lexi, but we really want you to go on and talk about Jordala. So yeah,
That's
they
hilarious.
really
Thanks for listening to Film Study, an All American podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode.